Okay, let me explain to you the materials I sent to you. So, we are discussing here test for independence, specifically the chi-square test. Okay, so you try to read about chi-square test, the basic of it. Okay, because I'm going to illustrate to you how chi-square test is being done. Okay, it is mainly used if we have two categorical variables, x and y. Now, we want to know if your x and y are independent. If they are not independent, meaning they are related. Okay, now for the materials I sent you, the x variable has two categories, category 1 and 2, and your y variable has three categories. Now, the entries there, for x category 1 and y category 1, there are counts indicated in the table. So, for that information, ito siya, no? This is category 1 of y variable. This is category 1 of x variable. So, we have 182. So, the count there is 182. Ang tawag ng mga values nito, these are observed values, no? Observed values. Now, let's start with the step-by-step hypothesis testing because we are testing here the independence, no? Of x and y. So, step 1, the HO of a chi-square test is fixed at x and y are independent. Okay. Now, you're saying for that specific example that we have, the pattern of worship is independent of the religious affiliation. So what are those religious affiliation there? We have the Protestant, Catholic, and Jewish. So is it that worshiping regularly or worshiping infrequently, is that related with the religious affiliation? No? Okay. So versus our H1, the alternative hypothesis, X and Y are not independent. Or some books will say X and Y are dependent. Okay, let's go to step 2. Now, for the materials I sent you, it has a level of significance given, where alpha is 0.05. Now, step 3. This is the formula for step 3. We have the summation of observed value minus expected value. Get the square of that all over expected value. Now, that is for each of the cell of the table. Now, some books will give you a formula like this. It's a double summation because actually we are getting the difference of the observed value ng row at column. Row at column, no? Row at column yan. So, ith row and jth column. So, row and column din yan. So, in this case, example tayo, yung observed value ng row 1, column 1. The observed value is 182. Okay. Tapos, we will compute for the expected value din for each of the cell. Okay, let's compute. Ano? Nasa step 5 pala yung computation. Okay, let's move forward because this is our test statistics. So, any of this formula is allowed. Okay, let's go to the critical region for the step 4. If your chi-square computed is greater than your chi-square alpha at degrees of freedom V. Now, meron tayong alpha sa step 2. Tapos, yung degrees of freedom V is row minus 1 times column minus 1. But we have two categories for x variables, meaning dalawa yung rows. Tapos, 3 religious affiliation. So, column is 3. So, the final degrees of freedom is 2. Now, look at the value of the chi-square at alpha 0.05 and degrees of freedom 2. Where to look at that? Saan natin kinuha itong 5.991? Now, if we have the chi-square table here at 0.05 and degrees of freedom 2, we have a 5.991. That's it. Okay, let's go to the computation. Now, yung table nyo, merong mga observed values. Those are observed values. Now, in order to get the expected values, you need the total. Total ng row at totals ng column. And your grand total is 1,000. Now, how do we compute the expected value? Halimbawa, if we need the expected value dito. The expected value for row 1, column 1, itatabi yan dyan sa observed value with a parenthesis. Now, you get the row total, which is 598, row 1 total, and column 1 total, which is 336. We take the product over the grand total, 1,000. So, in this case, we have 200.9. Ganon. So, ito yung expected values niya. Pinagtabi siya. Itatabi nyo yan because that will make your computation easier. Okay. Let's go to computation now of your chi-square. Ito. Okay. For each of the observed value, you minus the expected value, then take the square all over the expected value. You do that until you finish the six cell. So this is the chi-square value computed. Okay, we have a value of 8.048. So, yan, 8.048. Let's go to step 6, our decision. Since your computed value 8.048 is greater than 5.991, we reject HO. Because that is the decision rule, no? We reject HO if your chi-square is greater than your chi-square critical, the critical value. We call this the critical value. Okay. Now, step 7, therefore, since na-reject natin yung hypothesis of independence, therefore, they are not independent, meaning they are related. So, let's have a summary. Your chi-square test for independence, when you test the relationship of two categorical variables. Kapag ang variables nyo are numerical, yun ang ginagamit natin, the Pearson R, the Pearson's product moment. Yung when we discuss on the topic about correlation. That's it. Now, there is a special case of a chi-square table. Kapag ang chi-square table nyo is 2 by 2, ibig sabihin, your row has two categories and your y has two categories. So, dalawa here at dalawa dito. That is a 2 by 2 table. Now, your chi-square, the statistic, is this one. Take the absolute value of the observed minus the expected. Tapos, bawasan nyo ng 0.5 sa kanyo is square all over the expected value. Yan. This is a special case if we have a 2 by 2 table. Okay?